When we want to talk to another host over the internet, one of the first things we have to do is pick between these two transport layer options, the immediate layer just below application. So what are the differences between these two options? Why would you pick one or the other? TCP is called a stream-oriented protocol, and that's why it was sock stream at the socket layer. Stream means once you create that connection, you can just pump bytes in to the socket, and the operating system and all the layers below it will make sure that those bytes get all to the other end, all in the same order. Whereas UDP is a datagram protocol, it is rawer and a little closer to the underlying packet abstraction in that each message you send over UDP has to be small enough to fit in a packet, and it's going to be sent out there, and maybe it arrives and maybe it doesn't, and figuring out whether it does or doesn't is up to you. So the advantage of TCP is that you get reliable delivery of the data that you send. You push the data into the socket and it gets there somehow. Whereas UDP, you are more responsible for just figuring out whether the packet actually got there when you try to send data. TCP also, again, makes sure that that data not only gets there, it gets there in the right order, whereas UDP, if you send 3 UDP messages, they might get there in a different order that you sent them. And so the other end will have to reassemble them in the right order if the order matters. TCP also has flow control built into it. That is, if some application wants to send a lot of data and it just tries to send it all at once, but there's a lot of things going on at the time, then TCP has built into it mechanisms that limit the amount that any one communicating party tries to send over the network at once to let everyone communicate more fairly. Whereas UDP, as soon as you give it a packet, it'll just try to send it out, and making sure you don't flood the network is, again, up to the application. So giving all of these benefits of TCP versus UDP, why would you ever choose UDP? Well, the answer is that TCP is doing a lot for you, and it does it in a very good way that's great for most applications, but the overheads and the strategies that it uses may not be perfectly suited to your application. So UDP gives you the minimal abstraction so that you can build faster protocols or more customized protocols to your application if that's what makes sense. So TCP most of the time. Use it when you want the right answer on the other end, and you don't need to be super fast. You can wait a little while for the TCP protocol to do its thing. Use UDP when you have just small data, when there's no ordering issue, and when you want the lightweight, fastest possible mechanism for delivering things. So because of these choices here, that's why you're going to mostly see TCP, but UDP just occasionally. The details of these two options live at the transport layer, and today we're really trying to talk about the application layer instead. But one of the first things an application layer has to do is pick TCP versus UDP, and that depends on the needs of the specific application.